So today we're going to be matchmaking for the UFC's welterweight division. This division, in my opinion, is slowly creeping up to become one of the most exciting divisions the UFC has today. I think there are a lot of fun matchups and can be made here. So that's what we're going to be doing today, booking the welterweight division right. Because recently, the UFC's matchmaking, I don't know if you agree with me or not, let me know in the comments. I think it's been really hit and miss. Like some of the events they're putting on, like for example UFC 314, awesome. Start to finish, absolute banger of a card. And then you look at other announcements like Derek Lewis versus Teixeira is now a fight night main event.
Bruh.
Let me see, what else has there been recently? Mainly any fight night Apex cards ass, I'm just going to be honest. So, today we're going to book this division properly. These are the required matchups to make this division function. Obviously, we've got a couple of matchups made, so let's go over them. Belal Muhammad JDM for the title at UFC 315. We have got... What else have we got? We have got Carlos Parates, Ian Gary. We have got Michael Morales versus Gilbert Burns. Those are the three key ones made so far in the welterweight division. Let's start off with the championship matchup. Let's just give my early opinion on this fight. JDM, obviously coming off a long layoff, hasn't fought since UFC 299, where he beat Gilbert Burns in a really good performance in hindsight. I mean, yes, he was losing on the judges' scorecards and probably would have lost if he didn't get the finish. But this guy fought Gilbert Burns with a broken arm. Like, his arm was completely snapped. And when you rewatch the fight and you're seeing him being able to post up on the arm that's fucking broke, and to have that grit and determination to come back and knock out Gilbert Burns, who in his own right is a very high level grappler. Now, Gilbert Burns' grappling is very different from Gilbert Burns' grappling is very different from Gilbert Burns' grappling. Gilbert Burns' grappling is very different from the likes of a Belal Muhammad. So they are two high level grapplers, but grapple very different in my opinion. Gilbert Burns is more of a finishing threat on the mat than what Belal Muhammad is. But I really rate JDM's takedown defense. I don't think it's as dog shit as people make it out to be. This fight right here against Basel Hafez, he didn't look particularly amazing in that matchup. He got taken down a bunch if I remember correctly. I remember some people saying Basel Hafez beat JDM. I would need to go back and rewatch that fight maybe before I speak out on this matchup. But I rate his takedown defense. What I really rate is his get-ups, his ability to dig deep and get up no matter what stage of the fight it is. He's really good scrambles as well. I think JDM's going to knock out Belal Muhammad. Now, I'm not an active Belal Muhammad hater. I don't think Belal is as bad as everybody makes him out to be. But, I don't know. I just see JDM lighting Belal Muhammad up in the boxing range. I really do. I think JDM's hands are insane. And I think he might not be the biggest puncher, but his combination punching is absolutely epic, in my opinion. And I just see him being able to scramble with Belal. I think Belal might be too confident in his striking. I know Belal's striking isn't as shit as everybody makes it out to be. He stopped Sean Brady. He dominated Gilbert Burns for 5 rounds on the feet. He beat up Leon Edwards on the feet as well, if we're being honest. Although Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad was a lot closer than people let on. So, Belal Muhammad does have good striking, but the way his striking excels is because people are so scared of the takedown. And I know he does have a grappling advantage against JDM. I just think JDM won't be scared of the takedown and will be willing to engage with Belal Muhammad and let his hands go, because in the back of JDM's mind, he probably knows I am probably going to get taken down, but with the countless hours that I've put in this camp of me getting back up to my feet, posting on my arms, getting back up, cage walking, his scrambling ability, I think JDM will be confident that if he does get taken down, he will be able to get right back up. And on the feet, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's close. I think JDM will stop Belal Muhammad. This might be an awful take. Moving on to a matchup that needs to be made. Look, I was all for Sean Brady just waiting out to fight the winner of Belal Muhammad versus JDM. But with some of the matchups that have been made right now in the UFC, I think... And JDM isn't an active fighter, nor is Belal Muhammad. So Sean Brady might be waiting out for a while. So I think just to keep the ecosystem of the division going, It's him versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Another obvious matchup. A lot of the matchups in the welterweight division that need to be made are so obvious, but not so obvious to the UFC. Like, don't be surprised if Charles Oliveira pulls out with a cut whenever he's meant to rematch. Islam Makhachev never got his rematch. Arman Tsarukyan, clear number one contender in his division, pulled out of his matchup against Islam Makhachev. He's not going to get his immediate title shot. Shavkat Rakhmonov, who pulled out of UFC 315. Don't be surprised if the UFC for some reason give this guy different treatment and let him walk into a title fight. This guy's overrated in my opinion. I love this matchup. Sean Brady, Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'm going to be honest. I know Sean Brady was stopped by Bilal Muhammad. He got TKO'd in that matchup. I think he's looked really impressive since then. Even before then, he looked pretty good. Obviously, the Michael Chiesa matchup, he didn't look great in. But his two recent performances against Gilbert Burns and his most recent performance against Leon Edwards, that performance alone over Leon warrants this guy a title shot in my opinion. But let's keep these guys active and let's get clear number one contenders flowing through this division. Like I said, this has the potential, the welterweight division, to be top 3 divisions by the end of the year, in my opinion. I think you do this matchup, Sean Brady, Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think, honestly, it's a real 50-50 fight. I can see Shavkat Rakhmonov knocking out Sean Brady, but I can also see Sean Brady submitting Shavkat Rakhmonov. This guy's jiu-jitsu is next level. And let's not forget, Ian Gary nearly submitted Shavkat Rakhmonov. What do you think Sean Brady's going to do if he's able to get Shavkat in those similar positions? This is the matchup to make, in my opinion. Moving on, we've got Leon Edwards. I still haven't forgiven this guy for what he done at UFC Fight Night London. I don't think I ever will. But Leon Edwards, he is ranked number 3. Isn't the most active guy, but he's 33 years of age now. If he has any title aspirations, he needs to be active, because the inactivity, I think, is affecting Leon Edwards. I really do. I think this guy needs to get over these 2 losses by getting in there, shaking off the cobwebs and looking good. And a matchup that I think would make sense for him is the winner of Carlos Prates, Ian Gary. Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates is the main event of UFC Fight Night Kansas. I believe Ian Gary is either going to stop Carlos Prates late or beat him by decision. I spoke about this fight a bit more in yesterday's video, so I won't harp on about that. Make sure you go check that out. I believe Ian Gary's going to beat him. I think Ian Gary is extremely well-rounded. I think he's really underrated, especially his fight IQ. These guys have history. I think Leon is going to want some time off because he did get embarrassed by Sean Brady, but not too long off. And I think Ian Gary, yes, we haven't seen him since December, but I don't think that's of any fault of his own. I think just with the UFC's matchmaking, Ian Gary's kind of been an afterthought at the minute while they try and book the upper half of the UFC's welterweight division. Ian Gary, Leon Edwards have history. Ian Gary's going to beat Carlos Prates. Ian Gary versus Leon Edwards. Maybe like September. I think September could be a good time to see that matchup. Moving on, we have got Kamaru Usman. It's him versus Joaquin Buckley. Look, I originally thought you'd do Joaquin Buckley versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, which is an absolute banger matchup. But, like I said, JDM and Bilal are not active fighters, so I don't want Sean Brady to be sat out in the sidelines for so long. So just to keep the division moving, you do Sean Brady versus Shavkat, which I think is a better fit anyway, and do this matchup that everyone's been talking about for quite a while now in Joaquin Buckley versus Kamaru Usman. Look, Kamaru Usman's 37 years of age. He's number 4th ranked in the welterweight division. We haven't seen him fight in years. His last win in the division was before August 2022. UFC 268 when he fought Colby Covington. That fight was arguably a draw as well in their rematch, if we're being honest. Yes, he fought Khamzat Chimaev. Like, when did he fight Khamzat? 2023, so 2 years ago. On short notice. That fight should have been a draw, in my opinion. I thought Kamaru Usman came on strong in the 2nd and 3rd round. But is this guy... I know he's been riddled with injuries. His knees are fucked. If that's the case and you want to talk shit on the Pound for Pound podcast with Henry Cejudo, by all means, you've had a legendary career. You have earned to do that now. But then retire. Let's stop fucking wasting time holding up the division. This is the fight to make. In this current moment in time, Joaquin Buckley, he is the dark horse of this division. He is coming into his prime. He is hungry for the belt. I think he beats Kamaru Usman. That is the fight to make. Moving on, Colby Covington. Look, Colby Covington has said he wants to fight soon. Michael Morales, the winner of Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales, is who Colby Covington should fight next. Colby Covington, in my opinion, is in no position to be calling for these big matchups. The guy is on a losing streak right now. His last win came against Jorge Masvidal in 2022. Need I say more? Jorge fucking Masvidal is the guy's last win. I think this just makes sense. Colby's at a stage now in his career where, especially if Michael Morales beats Gilbert Burns, it's time to build prospects off his name. I think this is the perfect matchup. And finally, to cap off the video, we're going to do Jeff Neal when he's back from injury against MVP. You do have some fighters left out there, like a Carlos Perates, but I'm predicting him to lose to Ian Gary. You've got Vicente Luque there. You've got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I don't really know what they're going to do with those guys, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Wonderboy retires. Some people might be saying Wonderboy versus MVP. Now is the time to make that matchup. And you could be right, but I'm trying to keep it somewhat realistic. And I think the UFC would rather have MVP against someone that will propel him higher up the rankings than what Wonderboy would at this stage of his career. I could be wrong. A lot of people wanted the MVP Wonderboy fight. I was one of those people. I've kind of just gone off the idea now after seeing Wonderboy be knocked out by Joaquin Buckley. I don't want to see him knocked out again. I think this is a fun matchup. Jeff Neal, super underrated in my opinion. He's coming off. When was his last fight? Actually, I'm trying to think. Yeah, he's coming off a win over RDA, but that was a weird one. RDA got injured. He had a close fight against Ian Gary. He then got finished by submission against Shavkat. But people forget, man, Jeff Neal has wins over Bilal Muhammad, the UFC's welterweight champion. So that is how the UFC should book the welterweight division, in my opinion. It's a very easy division to book. The matchups are there. There's big name value in this division. I think it could be one of the best divisions in the coming years if the UFC just follow my booking strategy. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all again in the next one.